With LR Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku being out for a bit at this point, I think enough time has passed to finally do a top 10 LR list. Now, of course, this is just all my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with a lot of the things I have to say in this video, especially the top 4. But again, it's just all my opinion at the end of the day. So if you do disagree, feel free to let me know down in the comments why. And yeah, I guess without further ado, we can go ahead and get started. So right here we have some runner-ups. These guys aren't exactly top 10, but they're still very good. And I feel like they were worth mentioning. There's probably a couple LRs I forgot to put here. But still, I just wanted to show these guys are still very good. I know Go Bros just got their Easy A. They're definitely good once you build up with them. Golden Freeze is insane for the first couple turns you have him because, of course, the damage reduction. You know, Super Boo is really crazy for the first 5 turns because he's got the massive attack and defense buff. Carnival LR Goku's really good because he's a support. You know, 5th Form Cooler, one of the best extreme class units in the game right now. So definitely some very good options here, but I don't think they quite make the top 10 list. Now, just to get right into number 10, we've got Carnival LR Birdku. So this guy is really good, and he's on the list because he's an insane defensive unit. As long as you throw him in slot 1, you know, he receives an attack, he gets the defense buff, he has the guard, he's stacking, so his defense is going to get really high. The guard is pretty easy to get as well, you just have to be above 60% HP. And then if you're not above 60% HP, then you can get the revive, which of course is really good. Actually, it works out very well because then either you're guarding or you're potentially going to get the revive. So obviously makes it to where you're going to be good in most scenarios. And then when you do get the revive with him, he does get permanent guard. And then I think he gets like a high chance to crit. So definitely, you know, a very good unit all around between the guard, the revive. It just makes it to where he's going to be able to tank a lot, right? He's even going to be able to, I guess, literally die and still survive, you know, hence a revive. So definitely very useful with that. And also because he's stacking, of course, it just makes it to where his defensive capabilities definitely can get very high. But I guess his leader skill isn't really the best. Powerful comeback, we can pull this up really quick. It definitely has some solid options on it, but I think overall it's a kind of small category. So still a good unit, but I would say one weakness in his kit is definitely the leader skill. But now moving on to number 9, which actually we spent a lot of time talking about Carnival LR Goku. We have LR Vegeta in Trunks. So very similar to Carnival LR Goku, the tech one we just talked about. They're very good defensively. In slot 1, they're going to be an absolute tank, of course, because they have the guard, and then between them stacking as well. Once again, another similar feature to the Carnival LR Goku. They're just going to be very useful overall. They have a crazy leader skill as well. Bond of Parent and Child. And then Future Saga, which Future Saga isn't as good, but still good that that's in the leader skill, right? And then the extra 30% going to Battle of Fate. It makes it to where most really top tier units in the game right now are under their 200%. And between them being really good for slot 1 and just being good overall, right? It just makes it to where you're running a lot of really good units on their team, hence making them just a lot better, right? Now, I guess one negative about them is the guard. Technically, it is only restricted to being the first attacker in a turn. And of course, if, you know, an enemy locks you in slot 2 or 3, that definitely can cause issues, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal because, again, they are stacking. So then, of course, later into the fight, naturally, their defense is just going to get really high. And then still, they get some defense on their 12 key, and they've got built-in additionals. So then, you know, you get a ton of attack and defense on Super. Defensively, I think they're going to be at least good in any situation, at least from normals. I think Supers, if they don't have the guard, are still going to do a lot of damage to them. But then you've got to keep in mind, if you have a Bond of Parent-Child category ally, then you do get the entrance animation, which gives you some extra defense, and then guaranteed guard for the first 5 turns in any slot. Doesn't matter, you know, where you are, slot 1, 2, or 3, you have guaranteed guard. So of course that is very good. And then they do also have the active skill, which I do want to talk about really quick. Their active skill is pretty crazy, of course, does ultimate damage. But then you also raise all allies' defense by 20% for 1 turn. This is pretty crazy, because especially if you're running 2 of them on the team, and then they're both getting their active skill, giving everyone a 20% defensive buff, it just starts to get really crazy, and it makes it to where pretty much everybody on the team is looking insane defensively, right? So overall, very good unit. Active skill is pretty crazy. Guard, you know, very good. Obviously makes them very good defensively. So that's why I did think number 9 is pretty good for them, because some of the other units on this list are kind of just straight up better, right? It's not like these guys are bad. It's just other units have come out that are much better than them. But all right, moving on to number 8, we have the Z Duo. Now, they're about to come out on Global. They're definitely very good. I think a lot of the hate they get is definitely undeserved, you know, between them stacking. Actually, they greatly stack, which is really crazy, especially considering all the additionals they have built in. Their leader skill is pretty good as well. Power of Wishes is a solid category. Final Trump Card is pretty good, so that definitely is a good thing. They do get a lot of key as well, so key isn't really an issue with them. Actually, they do stack key technically, which I think this is the first unit that does that, so that definitely is very interesting. And then, of course, they've got the standby skill, which I don't really need to talk about much. I'm sure you know what it does. It makes them one of the most tanky units in the game. Like, they get an insane amount of damage reduction per key sphere obtained. They have guard and all that. So they just become very good when you use the standby. Unfortunately, you can't do any damage because you can't actually super. But then once you do the standby finisher, of course, that definitely does do a lot of damage. So overall, very good unit. You know, he's got crits built into his kit as well. So his damage is going to be crazy with the additionals and the crits. And then, of course, his defense is going to be good between the stacking. But the only reason I have him so low on the list is because the first couple turns you have him, because he's stacking defense, it's not going to be that great, because defensively he's not going to be that great because he's a stacker. So of course he gets better once you stack up a lot with him. Now, if you just give him a turn or two of stacking, he'll get up there really quick in terms of defense because of course he's got a bunch of additionals built in. And as I said, he is greatly stacking, but still for that first turn or two, if you get supered, maybe type neutral or type disadvantage, you're probably going to get one-shotted, right? Because he just takes way too much damage. But still, this guy is very useful, right? As we mentioned, he's got the standby skill. He's got really good potential with his defense, and his damage is very good. So I do think number 8's pretty good for him because he's definitely better than these guys, but I don't think he's better than some of the other units we have on the list. Now, to move on to number 7, we have the 5th year anniversary EZA Gogeta. Now, this guy is very good. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say he's as good as his counterpart with the Tech Vegito. But still a very useful unit, right? He stacks attack in his base form. So, of course, you know, once you get into your blue form, it just makes it to where you're going to do a lot of damage. He gets a ton of defense on super as well, which is definitely very good. And then he has the 70% chance to dodge as the 3rd attacker in a turn. Very useful because, of course, if you think he's going to take too much damage from the enemy, you could just throw him in slot 3. And even though his defense technically isn't enough to tank because he's got the 70% chance to dodge, as long as you get pretty lucky with the dodging, then you're taking no damage. So, of course, that is very useful. And he just keeps this even when he transforms, so I probably won't talk about it when we talk about his transform state. So this definitely is a very good mechanic. And then, of course, some extra defense on super, I guess, when attacking, but still very useful. And then, of course, you do get the transformation off with him. And then, like, dude, he's just crazy, right? He gets so much defense on super. He's even carrying over some defense into the next 3 turns, which is crazy. And then he's building up as well. It's just, there's so much to him. I don't want to sit here and talk about him forever. Both 5th year anniversary EZAs are insane, but this guy unfortunately is a little bit worse than the Vegito, but he's still very crazy, right? So moving on to number 6, we have the AGL Carnival LR Goku. Now, some people are going to be kind of mad at me for putting him above Gogeta, but I don't know, dude. I just think he's straight up better, right? I mean, he's an insane defensive unit, I guess very similar to these 2 options right here. You know, you could just kind of throw him in slot 1 because, of course, he has that guaranteed guard for the first 6 turns. He is stacking defense as well. He's got the high chance to nullify Ki Blast supers, so there's just so much to him to where, I mean, you know, defensively he's going to be really good, right? You also have this surviving a KO attack once per turn, so keep in mind this is once per turn, not just once within the fight. You could do this every turn technically, and then you recover the HP, and then you get that if HP is 40% or below. That's a pretty good condition, right? I mean, you'll see it, right? It's not necessarily the most common thing. Being below 40% HP is still pretty difficult, but it's not that bad. I think you definitely will see this a couple times because, again, you are throwing him in slot 1 to take these attacks. Like I said, you know, he's got the guard for the first 4 turns. He is stacking. So he is definitely a slot 1 unit for the first 6 turns, I guess. And then, of course, your defense just gets, like, massively higher throughout the fight. Not only because, again, he's stacking, but then he does get an additional 59% defense once you receive the 5th attack. And then once you receive, I think, the 9th, you get an additional 120% attack, which once you get that, it's just crazy. His damage is insane because not only do you have this attack buff, like I just mentioned, which makes your damage, again, insane, but then you have this crit chance, which you're getting with every attack received. So then you have over a 50% chance to crit. You're doing an insane amount of damage. You've got a high chance to nullify Ki Blast supers. And then, of course, you've got the surviving KO thing going on. You also are a stacker, and within the first 6 turns, he has guard. So, you know, very good unit, right? Defensively, he's crazy. Offensively, he's crazy. You know, he's got the active skill as well, which is pretty easy to get. You just got to have Earthbred Fighters, which obviously most of the time you're going to have with this guy. I do get why some people don't like him and kind of underrate him because some of these restrictions are pretty rough, right? Receiving 9 attacks definitely isn't the easiest, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal because, again, you're throwing him in slot 1 to take most of the attacks anyway because he's so good defensively, right? And also, he has a really good leader skill. Just 200% to Turtle School is definitely very good, right? This category is pretty top tier. It's pretty much every Goku, every Krillin, and then Yamcha as well. So definitely a good category. So overall, just very good unit, right? That's why I put him at number 6. But then moving on to number 5, we have EZA Vegito Blue. I guess it's a little weird having the Vegito Blue and then the Carnival LR Goku and then STR Gogeta, you know, you would think they would be like neck and neck like this, or, you know, I just put them like that. But I do think that the Vegito Blue is better than the AGL Carnival LR Goku, just because, I mean, dude, the amount of supers he's going to be doing when you transform with him is just insane, right? I mean, he can do more supers than Gogeta, and that matters a lot because of the amount of defense they're getting on super. Because you're getting this 50% attack and defense here, you know, this 50% defense here for 3 turns, if you're doing an extra couple supers, that will get you very far, right? So it's the same thing, though, with Gogeta, right? The only difference is this guy can do more supers. Of course, he's got the guaranteed additional. You know, he's got, obviously, this build-up right here. He's got the 70% chance to dodge in slot 3. So overall, very good unit. But one nitpick I did have about both the 5th year anniversary LRs with their EZA was their leader skill. Because 170% to final trump card for both of them, and then 170% to Potara for Vegito, and then fusion for Gogeta, I don't think it really cuts it. I mean, it's definitely good, I guess. I mean, you know, if you're new to the game or anything, 170% lead will be useful, but I just think this should have been 180%, right? I mean, it's a Dokkan Festival LR. I think it just made more sense because up to this point, you know, we had the EZA for the LR AGL Gohan and the Int Cell, and then they both were 180% leads. And then there was both the 3-year anniversary and then 4th year anniversary LRs who were 180% leads. So it just made a lot of sense for them to be 180% as well. So I just find it kind of weird, the 170%. But again, very good unit. So that's why I did have him at number 5. And then moving on to the top 4. Now, this is extremely controversial. This is where a lot of people are going to disagree with me, if not this little area right here. But anyway, this could pretty much be ordered in whatever way you like. It really doesn't matter. This is just my personal take on it, and I will explain why. Let me just put the top 4 really quick. So at number 4, we have Orange Piccolo. At number 3, we have LR Bulma. At number 2, we have GT Duo. And then at number 1, we've got the new full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I don't think he's added on here yet in this list, so I just have him as the tech one, but you know what I mean. It's the new LR one. So again, the exact order of the top 4 on this list can be, you know, mismatched or changed or whatever because they're all so good. They all have an argument for being number 1. You know, if you think Bulma's number 1, which I know a lot of you do, I completely understand that. Same thing with Orange Piccolo. Same thing with, you know, GT Duo. But I don't know. I think Super Saiyan 4 Goku is on top. I guess we can talk about Orange Piccolo really quick. So he definitely is very good. His leader skill very good. Gets a lot of defense on Super. He has a really good kit as well. He can get up to some crazy levels of defense. And then he also has some damage reduction. I think he has just a base of, 20% right here. So that definitely is very good. But my main issue with him is this right here. So the extra 30% damage reduction is very good because once you get that, you're taking no damage whatsoever from anything, right? You're going to be over 1 million defense. And then, you know, you still get 50% defense on Super. You have 50% damage reduction. And you've got everything else he's doing, which is very good. However, to get this extra 30% damage reduction, it's basically impossible, right? I mean, maybe a lot of people get it consistently, but me personally, I never get this. There was a comment talking about it the other day. I really have only seen it twice, right? I mean, I don't think I've gotten it more than that because the restriction to get it is so harsh. You have to be below 30% HP, which, I mean, look, again, it's good he has it, right? It's definitely very useful, and if you end up getting it, you're taking no damage, which, regardless of the condition, is very good. But still, you know, it just makes it to where you're not going to see it that frequently. And obviously, without the extra 30% damage reduction, this guy still could take just a little bit of damage because, you know, maybe if you're not fully built up or anything like that, it definitely can be kind of complicated with him because he does build up with every attack received, which I think we kind of know that's not as good as building up with every super attack performed, because then this guy could just get locked in slot 2 or 3, and then maybe there's not that many attacks there and he just doesn't build up as much. So it can just be kind of complicated with this guy, but he's still very good, right? He's got the Orange Piccolo Giant transformation, which is insane. He's got some insane teams as well. You know, he's on Movie Heroes, one of the best categories in the game. So a very good unit overall. I just think between the top 4, right, between these guys, he is the least impressive in my opinion. But again, there's an argument for him being, you know, number 1. All right, so moving on to LR Bulma. Now, I think I got a lot of explaining to do as to why she's only number 3 on the list. I know a lot of people think she's number 1, which again, completely understandable. She's definitely very good. However, the only reason I don't think she's as good as these 2 guys right here is very simple. Her teams, her leader skill, and her links. So between all of these categories, I would say one of them is good. Maybe Earthlings will be good in the future. Dragon Ball Saga is solid right now. I guess it's not horrible. Maybe if the World Tournament Golden Week Dokkan Fest units were on this category, it would be a lot better, but for some reason Dokkan didn't add them there. So her categories aren't really the best, her links aren't really the best, and then her leader skill kind of sucks, right? I mean, only 150% attack and defense is like unusable now. You need at least 170%, if not a full 200% lead. So not even having a 170% lead definitely is really bad. And keep in mind, with this tier list, I'm taking everything into consideration. Their leader skill, links, categories, everything. So, of course, Bulma being very, I guess, lacking in links, categories, and leader skill definitely does drag her down a bit. But if she had a good leader skill, a good link set, and good categories, she would easily be #1, right? Because this kit, dude, she is so insane, right? She gets damage reduction, guard, she's supporting. There's basically nothing she's not doing. Like, she's Rainbow Orb changing. It just... There's so much to talk about with her. This video is already getting long enough. I'm not going to talk about her for too long, but she is very good. And again, if she just had better categories, better links, she would be way higher on this list, even though she's already 3. So, I mean, she's already pretty high on the list. But I don't know, man. I just think her links, categories, and leader skill drag her down just a bit, right? So moving on to the GT duo. Now, these guys, obviously very crazy. I mean, everybody on this list is very crazy, but these guys are pretty much untouchable because once you build up this damage reduction and then super with them, I don't think there's any enemy that's doing any damage to them, right? Because you're building up with them really quick. They get the 10% damage reduction with every super performed, and technically you could do 4 supers in 1 turn, so obviously you're going to build up very quick. And then also between all the defense they get on super and then the damage reduction, just untouchable, right? Like I said, after you super, very, very good defensively. Even before you super, they're going to be pretty good because of the 50% damage reduction, but I think they definitely are a slot 2 unit, which isn't an issue because actually, they work very well with the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who is #1 on this list. And a very good thing about his design is he is kind of geared towards being put in slot 1 as he gets extra damage reduction in slot 1. So it makes it to where you could throw this guy in slot 1, you could throw this guy in slot 2, and it just works perfectly as a rotation. And even if you don't have this guy, because of course, you know, he's only out on JP, there are a couple other good slot 1 options for this guy, right? You've got the LR Vegeta and Trunks, you've got Carnival LR Goku, you've got this Carnival LR Goku because, you know, they're a Goku and a Vegeta, so they're on some pretty crazy teams. So there's a lot of really good slot 1 options for them, which is why I think they're just crazy, right? That's why I think they're the second best unit in the game, because they work very well with the first best unit in the game. Actually, it's kind of weird. This is like an ideal rotation. Like, they work very good together. This guy's basically going to be taking no damage in slot 1. This guy's going to be taking no damage in slot 2. So it just works out very good. Also, this guy has the standby, which is very crazy, right? The amount of damage he's going to be doing when he's in his standby is good. He's also a support for 8 key and 80% attack. Let me repeat that. 8 key and 80% attack. So, you know, a pretty good support unit, I would say. And also, he does have the revive. He comes back with 100% HP recovered. And the good thing is this character specifically doesn't have to die. It's just anyone on the rotation, which definitely is very good. And then he does have the finish attack. But the finish attack is even crazier because he's stacking attack. Not only is he just stacking attack, though, he's greatly stacking attack. And as we mentioned, he's got a lot of additionals built in. So this guy's design is very good, right? A very good unit overall. The only bad thing I would say about him is that he doesn't have Sand Roar. I do kind of wish he had Sand Roar in here just so he could work better with this Goku right here and some other Super Saiyan 4 units, but still, very good unit. Again, he's going to be insane defensively once you get your super, but overall, there's so much to him to where even in slot 1, you know, he'll be all right. So moving on to #1 on the list, who obviously we already talked about him a bit. We've got LR Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku. Or Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku. I got it right. I hate the way they word this. It's so unnecessarily complicated. Let me know down in the comments, was this the video games that came up with this name, or was this official? Because I doubt in the actual anime they called it Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku. But I don't know, man. Dragon Ball has done some weird stuff. So I'm not going to talk about this guy for too long. You probably know his details top to bottom because he obviously just came out. But he's a very good unit, right? I mean, I think that goes without saying. I'm arguing he's the best unit in the game. You know, between the standby, between the slot 1 tanking, which you already kind of talked about, between the defense for multiple turns, between the extra key, between the high chance of critting and everything, he's going to be very good in just his Super Saiyan 4 state. And then he does have the standby, which we did briefly talk about how good defensively the Z duo are in their standby state. So these guys are like that, but better, because they get more damage reduction per key sphere obtained, right? And that's pretty much it. And they also have a nullification. Forgot about that. So it's just good, right? Very good, very crazy. Also, I really like how they incorporated Oob into the kit. I thought that was pretty good because Oob doesn't really get that much representation in Dokkan, so I think it's nice he's in here. And overall, just insane in the standby. He can't do any damage, but that doesn't really matter because defensively, he's literally taking no damage. And then also, when you do go into super full power Saiyan 4 Goku, the amount of damage he's going to be doing makes up for him not doing any damage in his standby. I'll put it like that, right? Because you're getting guard for the first turn, you're getting crits, you're orb changing, you're getting insanely high attack and defense buffs, which is very crucial because it's a Dokkan Festival LR. Of course, his stats are going to be very high. You're still getting defense for multiple turns. You're still getting an insane amount of damage reduction in slot 1. So, look, I said I wasn't going to talk about him for too long, but he's very crazy, right? I mean, look, you got the heal right here as well. So, I guess that pretty much is the video. A lot of you are going to disagree, but I just think super full power Saiyan 4 Goku is insane. Because even before you get the standby or before you transform into super full power Saiyan 4 Goku, just normal Super Saiyan 4 Goku is still very crazy because, again, he's going to be insane defensively in slot 1. So I just think he's just simply the best unit in the game right now. But again, I completely understand if you disagree with me. So yeah, that has been the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys are thinking of this list down in the comments. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.